Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 18, verse number 60. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Chapter number 18, verse number 60. Please repeat after me. Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Nibaddhasvena karmana.
Nibaddhasena karmana.
Kartunnechasi yanmohat.
Kartum nechasi
Nechasi
janmohat.
Yanmohat.
Karishyasya vashopitat.
Karishyasya vashopi tat.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Svabhavajena
Kaunteya.
Kaunteya.
Nibaddhasvena karmana.
Nibaddhasena
Nibaddhasena
karmana.
karmana.
Unnechasi yanmohat.
Kartum
Kartum
nechasi
nechasi
janmohat.
Yanmohat.
Karishyasya vashopitat.
Karishyasya vashopi tat.
And devotees please chant.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Nibaddhasena karmana.
Nibaddhasvena karmana.
Kartum nechasi janmohat.
Kartunnechasi yanmohat.
Karishyasya vashopi tat.
Karishyasya vashopitat.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Nibaddhasvena karmana.
Nibaddhasvena karmana.
Kartum nechasi Yanmohat.
Kartunnechasi
janmohat.
yanmohat.
Karishyasya vashopitat.
Karishyasya vashopitat.
Tat.
Svabhavajena Kaunteya.
Svabhavajena
Svabhavajena
Kaunteya.
Kaunteya.
Nibaddhasena karmana.
Nibaddhasena
Nibaddhasvena
karmana.
karmana.
Kartum nechasi yanmohat.
Kartum nechasi
Kartunnechasi
Yanmohat.
yanmohat.
Karishvashi abashopitat.
Karishyasya
Karishyasya vashopi
vashopitat.
tat.
स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय
Svabhavajena
Svabhavajena
Kaunteya.
Kaunteya.
निबद्धः स्वेन कर्मणा
Nibaddhasena
Nibaddhasvena
karmana.
karmana.
कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात्
Kartum
Kartum
nechasi
nechasi
Kartunnechasi
janmohat.
yanmohat.
yanmohat.
करिष्यस्य वसोऽपि तत्
Karishya
Karishvashi
Karishyasya
vashopitat.
vashopi
Karishyasya
tat.
स्वभावेन कौन्तेय
Svabhavajena
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 Kaunteya.
निबद्धास्वेन कर्मणा
निबद्धः
Nibaddhasena
Nibaddhasvena
karmana.
karmana.
करिष्यसि यत् मोहात्
कर्तुं
कर्तुं
नेच्छसि
नेच्छसि
यन्मोहात्
यन्मोहात्
करिष्यस् अवशोऽपि तत्
करिष्यासि
करिष्यस्यवशोऽपि
अवशोऽपितात्
स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय
स्वभावजेन
स्वभावजेन
कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
निबद्धस्वेन कर्मणा
निबद्धस्वेन
निबद्धस्वेन
कर्मणा
कर्मणा
कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात्
कर्तुं नेच्छसि
यच्छसि
यन्मोहात्
यन्मोहात्
करिष्यसि अवसोऽपितात्
करिष्यासि
करिष्यस्यवशोऽपि
अवशोऽपितात्
अपितात्. Thank you. Svabhavajena,
स्वभावजेन
born of your own nature.
born
born of your own nature
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya,
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti,
Nibaddha,
Nibaddha,
conditioned.
conditioned,
Svena,
Svena,
by your own.
by your own,
Karmana,
Karmana,
activities.
activities,
Kartum,
Kartum,
to do.
to
to
do,
do
now,
Not.
not,
Ichasi,
Ichasi,
you like.
you
you
like
like,
Yat,
Yat,
that which.
that which,
Mohat,
Moha,
by illusion.
by illusion,
Karishyasi,
Karishashi,
will do.
he will do,
Avashaha,
Avashaha,
involuntarily.
involuntarily,
Api,
Api,
even.
even,
Tat,
Tat,
that.
that,
Translation purpose Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Purport. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. So this 18th chapter, as it was in previous chapters as well, talking about the concept of renunciation and working. Which one is better? Should we give up work or should we work? And in many places, in several places in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna went back and forth asking this question in different ways. So at the very beginning, once Krishna spoke Sankhya Yoga and Buddhi Yoga in chapter number 2, Arjuna asks a question, if knowledge or intelligence is better than action, why are you engaging me in this ghastly warfare? Tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Jayasi chet mata buddhir. So if you think this buddhi yoga is greater, then tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Why are you engaging me in this ghastly activity? So there, Krishna almost immediately responded to Arjuna, saying, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutishtratyakarit karyate yavashak karma sarva prakritijair gunaihi. Karyate yavashah karma. Karyate hi avashah karma. So helplessly, involuntarily, we act. And same thing Krishna is telling Arjuna here, Karishyasi avashaha api. Karyate hyavashak karma. Karyate hi avashah. Certainly you will act involuntarily. Avashah. So same word avashah is used here. Involuntarily you will act. Why is Krishna speaking this verse? There is some audio going on from someone's microphone. Yeah, so why is Krishna speaking this verse to Arjuna?
Because he wants him to fight according to his designation of a Kshatriya.
Yes, and Arjuna was not willing to fight. What was the reason Arjuna doesn't want to fight?
Well, many reasons. He didn't want to kill his elders and relatives.
Mm-hmm.
He felt compassion for them. He felt that Varna Sankara would happen if there were a lot of widows.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple more reasons I can't
Yeah,
remember.
so he was basically afraid of the outcome, right? What
Right.
will be the outcome of this action? So we have seen when Krishna was describing different ways of acting, anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. He is giving up his duty out of fear of what's going to happen. Let's see in this purport what Srila Prabhupada has said. There are certain duties one has to do, but if they give them up out of fear, that here it is, in the purport is saying that their fruitive activities they may be troublesome, the actions. So if it's given up in this consciousness, then that will be considered to be giving up in the mode of passion. And not only that, there are other consequences for doing it like this. If Arjuna says, okay, I'm going to get sin, something that's not desirable going to happen if I act, and I will give up acting. So then Krishna here is saying under illusion. He says, you will give up mohat. Out of illusion, you're going to give up this activity. But there is some swabhava that you have. Swabhavajena. What is this swabhavajena? It came in previous verse, in one of the previous verses, I think when I was talking a couple of weeks ago, same idea was there. Swakarmanatam abhyarcha, by your own duties, swadharma, swakarma, and swabhava here, swabhavajena, means born out of own nature. So we all, when we come into this world, we have some of the samskaras, some of the footprints, impressions from previous life that come into this life. So based on that, we have particular nature, we have a particular kind of body. You see people with more vata, they behave particularly, they talk a lot. And people with more pitta, they may tend to do multiplex and do things fast. So everybody has certain, because we were given this particular type of body. If you have a particular type of car, certain cars, they go very fast. There's lots of speed, they go very fast. And if it's a four-wheel drive, it can, withstand in snow in a better way. So if you want to go fast, they may have rear-wheel drive, but it may not be good in snow. So there, depending on how the system was built, it will function in a particular way. So what mode is Arjuna in? What is Arjuna's occupational duty? verse, what is Arjuna's occupational duty?
Kshatriya, right?
To
Yes.
to fight.
Yeah, to
To
fight.
fight
He
as
is a
a
Kshatriya.
Arya.
Yeah,
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya. So then
Yeah.
the word Kshatriya means one who protects others from getting hurt, right? So a Kshatriya has some natural tendencies. And what are the tendencies of a Kshatriya? They were discussed in the,
protection,
yes,
courage.
yes, it's very chivalrous. It protects others.
Administration. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see in Krishna's own words and what he's saying about a Kshatriya, the duties of a Kshatriya. Is it 42, 43 verse number? Okay, 43. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. So what this means is Arjuna, naturally he is inclined, that this is his swabhava jena kaunteya. So his swabhava is, he's shaurya, heroic, lots of power, he's determined, very resourceful, and never runs away from battle, and they give generously, and Ishvara Bhava, leadership. These are their natural qualities. Have you ever met people whom you can predict what they will do? I mean, there may be a certain situation and you can predict, say you may be sitting in a meeting, right? And somebody is speaking. And you know that there will be a response to that from somebody. Oh, this guy said this thing. Now there's this another person, John said this, and Bob, we know how Bob will react to this situation. You can almost predict. You can predict what will happen next. Did any of you, were in that situation where you know what's going to happen next by knowing the nature of people? Nobody could ever predict.
Yes.
We can a lot of times predict how this individual will react in this particular situation. So why do we do that? Because we know the nature of that person. So a Kshatriya is somebody, say if, a lot of people are sitting in a room and say one guy, he's, making fun of another guy and say it is something wrong. Some people may sit quiet, they don't say anything. But someone who has Kshatriya nature, they say, stop doing that, you're bullying this person. It's natural. I have a friend in Seattle and his daughter, she was probably in her first grade or second grade, and she had a friend, and one of the boy was bullying her friend. And she told the boy, let's go into the basketball court. And then she took this boy to a spot where there are no cameras and she punched him in the nose. And this boy got hurt. So then what happened? Then, my friend, he got a call from the teacher, principal, and he had to go with his daughter. And she explained, your daughter hurt this boy. So the teacher asked, why did you do this? He said, Dad, this boy has been bullying my friend for so long. And why didn't you inform the teachers? Oh, well, nothing happens when, we tell the teacher nobody does anything. Then I had to protect my friend. I had to protect what is right. And nobody was doing anything, so I took it into my hands and I taught him the lessons, and so that he wouldn't do this again. I mean, this is a first grade girl, right? But she had this Kshatriya spirit. She couldn't see that somebody is being bullied and nobody is doing anything, and she stepped up, right? Of course, because it is just first graders stuff, everybody laughed at it. And he's a devotee, and this girl, she's also a devotee. Now she's much older, but some of her activities he used to tell me. So a kshatriya is like that, not only just, oh, I want to be the boss of everybody. That's not the point here, right? Ishvara bhava is, kshatriya is somebody who is trying to protect dharma, who is trying to protect what is right. And they also have this idea of not backing off. They don't back off. They fight. They fight until the thing is resolved. It's considered very bad if a kshatriya, runs away from battlefield. He would rather die than, surrender to some inferior guy. So this is the nature of a kshatriya. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you may try to run away, but guess what? If someone says, hey, Arjuna, you're a coward, you're doing this, you're doing that, somebody is insulting you, then you'll be so angry because you cannot control it. That's your nature. Okay, you want to go to forest? You may go to forest, but what will happen? You'll see a tiger attacking a deer, then you go start fight with you'll fight with the tiger. That's your nature. You can't stop. And even there was one devotee in California. My spiritual master told me this story. So he was a martial arts person. So he was like, yeah, Arjuna is using his skills because he had a battlefield, but I don't have anybody to fight with. I wish Krishna engages me in fighting. And one day, so he was on the balcony. I believe this is in Los Angeles temple. So he was on the balcony, and there were some people, rogues, and they came on bikes and they were harassing devotees. And there are probably 5 or 6 of them on bikes. So he was on the balcony, and even before he landed on the ground, right in the air, he kicked one guy and he punched another guy, and then he landed, right? And then he started knocking down everybody, and they started bleeding, and they left their bikes and they ran away. He was like, thank you, Krishna. Today you gave me an opportunity to do some service to you. This is a kshatriya. I mean, he wants to protect good people, right? He wants to protect dharma. And that's how, and they're very courageous and they're very resourceful. Say if there is a meeting of devotees and there's a work that needs to be done, and oh wow, it needs so much. You have to have human resources, a lot of people, and collect a lot of money and inspire a lot of people and rally them around a cause. Everybody is looking what to do, but someone who is good at leadership says, I will take up that task, and then he talks to people, gets everybody on board, and very resourceful, gets things done. So this is the nature of a kshatriya. So this is Arjuna's nature, and Krishna is saying, Arjuna, even if you give up right now, but you cannot cease to be a kshatriya because that's your swabhava. Kshatram karma swabhavajam. In this 1843, kshatriya's swabhavaja is all these things. And in this verse, Krishna is saying, swabhavajena kaunteya, because you are conditioned by the swabhava. And if you don't use that swabhava in my service, then material nature will, engage you in other activities in the swabhava. And a kshatriya has to be guided by a brahmana. because he may be quick in reacting. That's why a king, a lot of times a king may want to do something and the minister says, no, stop, don't yet do that. Then he explains why. So therefore a king keeps good counselors. Chanakya Pandit says a king without counselors is doomed. He's pretty soon, there's some disaster that's going to happen. So Krishna is acting as Arjuna's counselor. Besides being the Supreme Lord, he's guiding Arjuna. This is precisely what Krishna was going to do for either for Duryodhana or for Arjuna. But Arjuna chose Krishna because he was smart. He was a devotee. He wanted Krishna with him. And Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you have to fight this battle. Even if you don't, then you cannot give up your nature. You'll be using your nature somewhere else anyways, as a Kshatriya. Why not do your dharma properly? By doing this activity. Just like Krishna spoke in chapter number 3. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutishtatya karmakrit. Karyate hyavashak karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. Even for a moment, we cannot stay idle. We have to do something based on our nature. So a Kshatriya is predominantly in the mode of passion. And his secondary nature is mode of goodness. But because passion dominates in a Kshatriya more than goodness, he cannot sometimes see. Therefore, he has to be properly guided. This is the nature of Kshatriya. But if properly guided, then a Kshatriya can become glorious in the service of the Lord. And that's what Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to do. Any questions so far from anyone? Okay, there's no question. We'll move on to the next verse. Ishvaras sarva bhutanam hriddeshejna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rodhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Does anyone like to read the purport? It's kind of quiet here today.
I can go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes.
Arjuna was neither the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of the living entities are directed by this super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As soon as the living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car. Though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so all of a sudden, why is Krishna speaking this verse? Ishvaras sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rodhani mayaya. So now when Krishna is talking like this, Arjuna becomes silent. The Acharyas explain that he becomes silent. He was thinking, but Krishna, I don't feel like doing what you're telling me to do. It's not, I'm not, my conclusion, my analysis is not leading to the same conclusion that you are trying to tell me. So what do I do? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. So Prabhupada is writing the same thing in the purport because Arjuna is thinking, how about why can I not use my discretion? Sometimes we think like that. Spiritual master may say something, but I don't feel like that, Guru Maharaj. Or maybe because spiritual master, he doesn't know the details. Only if I can tell some more details, then maybe he will think like I am thinking. And maybe he'll suggest what I actually want to do. So we feel like that sometimes, we try to explain things in such a way to spiritual master that he will agree with what we are saying. And spiritual master says, no, I think you should do like this. Like, why is Guru Maharaj saying this? We may think because we reach to a decision based on something, we think he doesn't have all the data that we have to come to this conclusion. So Arjuna is feeling like this, Krishna, but only if my decision, you understood. Probably you will also tell me the same thing. But Krishna is saying no. And here Krishna is saying, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe Arjuna tishtati. There is Ishvara in everybody's heart. And he is the one, Brahmayan sarvabhutani. He is causing everybody to travel from one body to another in this material world. And putting them in the bodies, he is making them travel in time, right? We are continuing our journey every second, millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, right? We are passing through this body in this material world. And who gave us this body? Karmana daivanetrena jantur dehopapattaye. So we get this body based on karmana daivanetrena, by our previous activities and by the direction of daiva. So it is the super soul who is the witness of our actions, and then he will give the results of our actions and put us in another body after we die. So he knows everything. He knows what we think, what we feel, what we will. And here Krishna is directly the Supreme Lord. Arjuna, do you not know that? You yourself have said that in chapter number 10. You said that Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Narada, they all know that I am the Supreme One. And I told you in chapter number 15. Where does Krishna say in chapter number 15? That he is the super soul. Does anyone know the verse?
Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishto.
Yes. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam. So from me comes all the knowledge and remembrance and forgetfulness. And I'm standing in front of you, Arjuna, and you still think that there's something more that your decision has that I do not know. And he also says, I know the past, present, and future. I believe that was in chapter 7. Vedaham samatitani bhavishyani cha bhutani. I know Vedaham sama atitani. Everything that has passed, I know the past. Bhavishyani cha bhutani. I know the bhavishya, the future of all the living entities, of all the bhutani means living entities. Vartamanani cha Arjuna. I also know the present. Arjuna already told you all these things. And not only I'm here outside, but I'm also within you as a super soul. And I'm guiding everything. And Srila Prabhupada said this here, right? He, as the knower of past, present, and future, he remains the witness of all activities as the super soul. And he gets what he deserves, the living entity. Now, of course, Arjuna here, he is teaching us that the importance of spiritual master. There are two gurus. One is the guru from outside, and there's guru inside. Who is the guru inside? Paramatma, the super soul. And our spiritual master is there outside. There's Diksha Guru. There are many Shiksha Gurus. So there is Guru outside and there is Guru inside our heart. So a lot of times, okay, we may get guidance from Guru outside in the form of instructions, but sometimes for a practical situation at that particular time, the instructions are there, but we may not remember those instructions. Then there is Guru inside our heart, is Krishna as Paramatma, who will give inspiration on what to do, either by reminding the instructions that we got from our Guru outside or from Krishna's own teachings, or maybe just some kind of comprehension on how we should behave. However, this super soul connection, it doesn't get stronger if we don't cultivate the mode of goodness. If we remain in the mode of ignorance and passion, the connection with the super soul will not be very strong. The connection will be weak. The transmission will not happen properly. It will be clogged. We may have pipes sometime, and if there is lots of some dirty things in the pipes, then the water will not come through properly. And if you clean everything, then the flow will be nice. So Krishna is there as super soul in our heart. But in order to get guidance from him, we have to work on our mode of ignorance and passion and rise to the mode of goodness. In the Upadeshamrita, Srila Prabhupada says, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami, one should rise to the platform of mode of goodness, and everything for further progress will be automatically revealed. What does it mean, automatically revealed? That means the Paramatma connections start getting stronger, and then there will be guidance from inside on how, what kind of decisions to make, how to act, how to serve the Lord. So this happens typically, Brahman initiation is a symbol of this one. When we receive Brahman initiation, the expectation is now there is this connection, more connection with the super soul, which has to reflect in our thought process, in our day-to-day activities, this super soul guidance. But until that becomes strong, which takes a lot of time, we need external guidance. Like Krishna is giving external guidance. We need guidance from Shiksha Gurus. We need guidance from Diksha Guru. We have to constantly be associating with Srila Prabhupada by reading his books, by hearing his lectures. So this external guidance is coming, and then our internal connection with Super Soul is also becoming stronger and stronger through this guidance. So one day, even if spiritual master is not present, right, we have that kind of connection that we don't feel that spiritual master is not there and the super soul is not there. Srila Prabhupada said, I never felt I was alone. My spiritual master was always there with me. Krishna was always there with me. So in order to get to that stage, the path is to be under constant guidance of spiritual master. Just like here Krishna is guiding Arjuna, and we see in Srimad Bhagavatam that when Krishna leaves this planet, Arjuna becomes devastated and his Gandiva bow stops working. And he feels so weak and depressed. And then he's lamenting in front of Yudhishthira. And then gradually he starts thinking of Krishna's lotus feet, his beautiful smiling face, and all the instructions he has given, how Krishna has protected Arjuna and the Pandavas throughout their life. And he specifically remembers instructions of Krishna that Krishna has given. The Bhagavad Gita he has spoken on the battlefield. And immediately Arjuna becomes surcharged and he becomes situated, his moha will go away. Like Krishna is saying, telling Arjuna, mohat, out of illusion, if you give up fighting, it's not good for you. So that moha captured Arjuna also for a little time when Krishna left this world, but then those instructions stayed with him. And then he developed this internal connection with Krishna, and then all of a sudden he became again energetic and happy. So therefore, this receiving this guidance is very, very important for us in our life, through Diksha Guru, through Shiksha Gurus, through the scriptures. Constant guidance we have to seek. And sometimes it appears that our decision, we feel so strong about what we are thinking is right, particularly in difficult situations, tough situations. Somebody did something to us. Spiritual master is saying, no, you are wrong. And it's so devastating. Spiritual master, you are right, but still you should be humble. Like, why? I'm the right person. He's the one who has done this thing to me. She is the one who has done this thing. And you are even acknowledging I'm right, but now you are telling to be submissive in front of that other person, right? So, but spiritual master knows what is good for us. So here Krishna knows what is good for Arjuna. He knows Arjuna's nature and is trying to engage Arjuna according to nature. This is another important thing. Sometimes, we may want to do this, we may not want to do this because it's troublesome. But Krishna is saying that's mode of passion if you give up something because it's troublesome. We should use our nature in the service of the Lord. And spiritual master guides devotees according to their nature. Yuktasya bhaktansha niyunjatopi. We sing in the morning the prayers, samsara dava naralida loka, the third stanza, where spiritual master, he is engaged in the service of the Lord, and he is also engages the devotees in the service of the Lord. And he engages according to the nature of that person. And even if that person is not capable of something, spiritual master can empower that person. So usually he engages, so here in the Bhagavad Gita we see Krishna particularly engages Arjuna according to his nature. He is not engaging Arjuna in something else that is not Arjuna's nature. That is the standard way. But sometimes we see Srila Prabhupada will be engaging somebody in some kind of service that may not be that person's nature, but Prabhupada would empower that person for that service. He would give him the strength to do that service. So, but typically he'll say, okay, you are good at this, do this thing. Like Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he says, you are a scientist, and he engaged them in the Bhaktivedanta Institute, in the BI. So now you take care of the scientific preaching. So sometimes it may be difficult. We may have failures, but someone else doing some other service, they are succeeding in their service. Oh, let me do that service. Then if I do that, I get more name, I get more fame, or it's easier. I'm in a comfortable zone, whatever it may be, right? So, but it doesn't matter. Where is the success? The real success is in the service, not in the fruit. Success is in the service itself. The mood with which we do the service, that itself is the success. The outcome may not be there. Srila Prabhupada, how long did he struggle before he got really good results? lifetime of preparation, lifetime of preparation. He never gave up. Prabhupada's disappearance day is tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada never gave up. He took spiritual master's instruction and then he went with it. He tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. He wrote books, not even, I mean, how much confidence should we have to write books and just write articles and all those and sit there and hoping after 10 years, 20 years, someone will read them. We want some immediate result because our happiness is in the result. But Prabhupada's happiness was in the service. Therefore, he kept on doing the service. No problem. He was determined in his service because the service itself was giving him pleasure because that's what his guru told me to do. But we may feel disappointed when we don't have the fruit. We judge by the, if I get the fruit, then I'm happy because then I can satisfy my false ego thinking I am the doer and because of me the result has come. So therefore, a lot of times we may invest a lot of strength in one area, but Krishna will give results somewhere else. Just so to tell us that it's not you who produce the result. For example, we may preach to somebody for so long, 5 years, 10 years, this guy, he doesn't go anywhere, right? We don't get any result. So that we don't feel that we are the ones who are doing it. But then someone may just walk in and you meet somebody and they immediately pick it up and they progress very fast. Then Krishna is telling you, look, you invested strength here, this did not work. You invested strength here, this worked. So that means it's not you who is doing it, it's me. I sent you a sincere soul here. I sent you someone, may not be so sincere here. And I am working behind all these things. You're just an instrument. So in this way, our duty is just to be an instrument and let Krishna and the spiritual master guide us through these things. Of course, it doesn't mean, we blindly do things. We have to tell spiritual master what our situation is, just like Arjuna is, why should I do this? But isn't this so? Won't my relatives die and this will happen? But you're saying this, but you're asking me to do this. Why? There's nothing wrong in putting humble inquiries, right? We inquire in a humble manner and then we take up whatever the instruction is and we try. It's not about the result. It's about our endeavor to satisfy the spiritual master. And that will be the real source of advancement. Advancement doesn't just come by the results that are out there. We may be good at in some activity, but that could be not based on our sincerity, but it could be just based on our skill. Just based on our skill, we may have done something. For example, there may be a very good cook he's a cook in 5-star hotel. He may make nice preparation. Other person, he just endeavoring to do something from Krishna and for Krishna, and he's cooking Krishna with lots of love. Which one will Krishna accept? We already have an example between Dhritarashtra and Arjuna. When Dhritarashtra was, Duryodhana, he prepared a very nice meal for Krishna. But Krishna didn't accept. And actually he went to Vidura's place. He accepted because there was love and devotion. Right? So the attitude is the one that is the source of advancement. And that attitude comes with strong connection to Super Soul. And that strong connection comes first by following the instructions of the spiritual master again and again and again. And then the Super Soul starts becoming strong and strong in our heart. And Tesham Satata Yuktanam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. How does it go? Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite. So he'll give us proper guidance so that our journey towards him will be successful. So I'll stop here. Are there any questions, comments from anyone?
Yes, I have a question. You said we should try to deliberately cultivate the mode of goodness. How would you do that? I think you gave the answer at the end, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we know the qualities, right? We know the qualities of ignorance, qualities of passion, qualities of goodness. So in the mode of goodness, we are driven by a sense of duty, by a sense of love for spiritual master and Krishna. Sometimes we may not even have love, but as a sense of duty, we can do it, right? So so that inculcating that mode of sense of duty, as you know, as a pupil, as a disciple, this is what I have taken vows. Prabhupada said, you know, one time when devotees were not following principles, Prabhupada said, what kind of gentleman are you? If you promised to me, you promised on fire, you know, during fire sacrifice, but you are not doing, what kind of gentleman are you? Right? So those obligations we have, we should be open and honest with Guru and seek guidance and, you know, do things as duty. And in that way, we will push ourselves to the mode of goodness rather than in the mode of passion. We will be motivated by what's the immediate result I get out of it, instead of, you know, thinking long-term success in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, and
And
by
also,
doing that, you said Paramatma gets stronger and stronger.
oh yes, definitely, definitely. So that's what, you know, Upadeshamrita, nectar of instruction, gives the principles of how to be elevated to mode of goodness, which, you know, we are reading in Bhakti Shastri. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we have
Yes,
also
Mati, Hare Krishna.
read that in Vishwarup Darshan, that he said he already killed the ones that has to be killed. So
Yes,
when he does the fighting and kills those persons, it's nothing what you say. It's like illusion, because Krishna has already killed those persons that has done wrong.
Correct. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's another point Krishna is telling Arjuna. Arjuna, I already showed you Vishwarup. Right? But Arjuna still has to go that bhava, to that mood, right? I mean, you still have to experience that pain and pleasure. As long as, you know, we have these material attachments, we have to go through. So that journey is very difficult.
Yes.
And that still bothers us. You know, we know we'll go back to Godhead if we continue the process, but we have our doubts sometimes. Is Krishna really there? Is he helping me? Right?
Yes.
Prabhupada already gave us the outcome. You do this and you'll become Uttamadhikari. You follow strictly, you're going to get there. But still we have this thing. And Arjuna is representing that kind of mood that we have.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? We can read one more verse, but I think it's almost time. I kind of leave it to the next speaker. Let's see if I can find something else also. Yeah, let me summarize a little bit about. So Krishna started with, you have to work, right? And one has to do their prescribed duties. And then he talked about renunciation as well, giving up all the duties in 1849. And he talks about the path of jnana. So you basically engage in duties as long as there is some kind of attachment, being a doer and attachment to the result. So we keep on doing, this is about general activities. You do according to Varna, say you do agriculture, you be a Kshatriya, and you give up your results and just think that you are not the doer. May not be so, there may not be the element of devotion as in the process of bhakti, but you're acting, thinking I'm not the actor, and the results I'm ready to renounce. And at some point, when that renunciation becomes stronger, when that mood becomes stronger, Krishna is saying you have to totally give up acting, performing any activity. Because by that continuous action and giving up the fruits, a level of jnana has developed, knowledge has developed. knowledge of the soul has developed in the heart of that person. And that person gets elevated to the platform of Atma Jnana, and that's where Brahma Bhuta Prasannatmana Shochatina Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate Param. At that point, he attains devotion. But Krishna is insisting on another path. He also mentioned in chapter number 12, is where you perform activities, Mai Sanyasya Karmani. You do activities as an offering to me. 9th chapter, Yat Karoshi Yat Juhoshi Yat Ashnasi Yat Tapasyasi Kaunteya Tat Kurushva Madarpanam. What we are doing is the bhakti process. Every act is for Krishna. We are not just interested only in doing some activity and just give the result. The activities also we want to do for Krishna. And in that activities also we want to think of Krishna. And that is the process that Krishna is recommending Arjuna here. And that Buddhi Yoga, that Bhakti Yoga, that is the process that Krishna is talking about. Not the first he already talked about prescribed duties, then he talked about giving up the prescribed duties. Now he is talking about action with devotion, which is different from just the prescribed duties and giving the result, which is different from giving up the total results and then coming to jnana and then coming to bhakti. But these are the actions motivated with bhakti. That's the section that we're talking about right now. I just wanted to point it out so that we can see the difference of what's going on in this chapter. So it's 8 o'clock. I'll stop here unless there are any final comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for
Yes,
the wonderful
Ganpati
session. I just
Prabhu.
wanted to mention
Your voice is
a
breaking,
special
Prabhu.
class with. Oh, is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you better now. Yes.
Okay. Actually, tomorrow we are going to have a special session by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj.
Right.
So there is a different Zoom link for that session. It's the same time, 7 p.m. I have posted the details in the chat. If anyone wants the details, he can take it from the chat session. So we won't be having our regular Bhagavad Gita session tomorrow because it's Prabhupada's disappearance day. So we are going to have a special program by His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Ganpati Prabhu. Will you also send that link in the chat, in the congregation chat, WhatsApp?
I can send it. Yes, that's a good idea, Prabhu. I can send.
Okay.
And also tomorrow at noon we have a ceremonial program for Prabhupada's disappearance day. It's going to be from noon to 12:30 p.m. That is on our regular Zoom ID. So anyone who is able to join, they can join that program.
Oh, thank you. You can put all of these details in Connecticut congregation, Ganpati Govind.
Yes, Mataji. I did send out an email today about the ceremonial program. But yes, I'll also put it in the Connecticut congregation WhatsApp group.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. This Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.